Okay, I let Bree know that I sent her the link, but she should have it in her email at this point. I hope so. If not, I'll have to share it a different way. Okay. Welcome to Unscripted. I am Tasha, and today we are doing an episode on National Suicide Awareness. Why'd you just send me a text? Oh, okay. It was really weird. Okay. But we have two people here in the field working with and trying to attack this from all angles. So how about you ladies introduce yourselves and kind of not where you work, but your general field and what you do in this area.
Okay. I'll start. My name is Yvonne, and I've been in the field of drug and alcohol and mental health for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
Working in crisis centers, crisis situations, psych hospitals, different types of treatment for drug and alcohol. So definitely experienced the whole gamut of what happens and what makes people go through.
Okay, very nice.
Hi, I'm Sheena. I've been a crisis counselor for almost 3 years. I have a master's in psychology. Done some work in the substance abuse area as well.
And you also, and I'll kind of sidetrack on this, and you also said postpartum depression as well, correct?
Yeah.
Is also another kind of field or area you're in as well?
It's more of an area that I'm very passionate about.
Okay.
I don't work in that field specific, but even with my crisis, job, I do talk to people that are in postpartum. It's just not something that I can officially diagnose, but
yeah. I can actually say I've experienced that twice with the 5 pregnancies I had, and it is a real thing. The postpartum depression is like a huge thing, which kind of ties into what we're working on or discussing about today. So I know we're not going into specifics where you guys work, which is perfectly fine. So let's just kind of discuss on like a day-to-day, how do you guys go about assisting people, or what kind of resources do you do if somebody is in said crisis?
A lot of what I do is de-escalation.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I can provide people is that validation.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of times people are just looking for someone to hear them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard when it's a family or a friend, you kind of want to fix things and, you want to give a bunch of advice, but a lot of times people just want you to say, yeah, hey, you know what? Your load right now is heavy.
Yeah.
And I can understand why you be overwhelmed or you feel this way.
Yeah, I mean, understanding, like, it's okay to feel how you're feeling and it's okay to be low. Like, I think there's such a stigma on, like, you are not allowed to be low, or, like, you're not allowed to be low for a day. Like, you better knock it off. And I think we come from that generation, or at least I do, being born in, like, the late 80s, where that stigma is, don't cry, don't have feelings, like, what you're feeling doesn't matter because it's adult time and you need to just be here and be quiet. So I think that's definitely some of that part where nobody feels like they've been heard, because half their life or most of their life they haven't heard that, or heard that it's okay to just be okay and not have a bad day. Right. Like, I don't recall ever hearing my parents being like, yeah, it's okay to have a mental health day.
Right.
Like, I don't think I ever heard that in my entire life.
No. My mom can understand why I was depressed. just feel better.
Yeah, 100%. I remember my dad telling me that. I'd be like, why are you crying? Stop crying. There's no reason. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, you're trying to clean up your tears, right. Even though at that moment you felt like you needed to.
And they're in the Midwest, there's that mentality of pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Okay.
Get on with it. Go deal with life. And it's unfortunately, it's almost a message of bury your feelings.
Yeah. So how does one maybe, and this might get a little deep, so how does one go about unfolding something like that, or processing? Because, like, I know I'm used to, like, bottling it up. And, like, I've been trying to make sure my own children don't do that. Like, I definitely say, hey, use your words. Like, it's okay to be mad, but, like, let's process why we're mad. But how does one, when they have been in that kind of life, how do they try to adjust or open up to somebody, because I think that might be the other harder part, is being able to open up to somebody or telling somebody you need to talk.
I think and I'll let Sheena jump in too. I think there's a few pieces. The first thing is they have to find someone to reach out to. It doesn't matter if it's a crisis center, a best friend, a teacher, a relative, a complete stranger.
Yeah.
Just finding someone to say even the words, here's what happened, because they might not know what the depth of it is, and they might not know that for years they've been told, don't cry, wipe it off, get on with your day.
Yeah.
Because we hear those messages, and I don't think we always internalize what it means.
Yeah.
So when we get hit with something devastating,
yeah.
And it could be devastating over a period of time, it might be multiple little things that create a bigger piece. And so it's just really trying to start with giving words to it.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on with me. Here's where my head's at. I was driving in traffic, and I noticed for the last week I'm pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
Just little things of looking back and saying, oh, my best friend said for the umpteenth day at school, why are you crabby all the time?
I mean, after you hear it so many times, you become crabby, don't you? And I did have a thought. No,
I was just going to follow up with that.
Yeah.
I think also, like, on an individual basis, is acknowledging that it's okay that I feel this way.
Yeah.
And just kind of, taking a second and looking at why do I feel this way? And then, start to think about who I can talk to. I dealt with postpartum as well.
Yeah.
Mine was a little bit more intense. I had some really, intrusive thoughts that I was working through.
Oh, yeah.
And luckily, with my educational background, I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I have a really good support system in place, so I was able to talk to my supports. But there is a level of embarrassment. Mm-hmm. There is a level of mom guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling judged. And it's sometimes hard to talk about, these crazy intrusive thoughts that are making you feel crazy.
Yeah.
Those are hard to talk about, and you almost feel like a failure as a mom.
Yeah.
But it's so not that. And I wish that people understood that postpartum is more than just baby blues, or it can be more.
Yeah.
That you can have really strong, intrusive thoughts that, you need to talk to someone about.
Yeah.
And lean on your support system and your community.
Yeah, 100%. But so going back, and then we always say, you go to your support, but what happens when somebody doesn't have that support, like a postpartum mom who is literally on her own? What would be something you would tell somebody who lacks that support system?
I'd say, talking to your doctor is a good place to start. Most doctors understand what postpartum is. They understand that some people can have these intrusive thoughts. It doesn't mean they're a bad mom, or that they're actually going to hurt their child or do something, impulsive. If they don't have, or they don't feel comfortable, they can talk to their doctor, reaching out to a crisis line like a 988. If they can find a therapist, working with a therapist.
Yeah.
So also finding a friend, if depending on the age, if you're in school, even at school as an adult, most places have counseling centers.
Yep.
They have workers there. You can talk to a grandparent, an aunt or an uncle.
Yep.
It depends on where you're at in those family dynamics, which can be part of the problem.
Yeah. So going on the flip side, because this is how it happened with me with my first child, I didn't even know I had it. You don't even, because you're just kind of just in the moment. You're just on autopilot, as most people would say. And in my experience, I didn't even know it, because my baby, my oldest was 10 weeks early. I was still in high school, and I was trying to I was still going to work, and I was still managing all these pieces, so I had no clue. And then I went in for a checkup, and the doctor's like, hey, I'm pretty sure you have postpartum depression. And I'm like, no, I don't. So, but it's a hard reality when somebody else then tells you how you're feeling and you have no clue that that's how you're feeling. So, what is something you would give or words, or how would you go about to having someone accept that? Or what would be I don't know how to word the question, but what would you say to somebody to try to say, hey, it's okay to have it, be postpartum depression or the intrusive thoughts? Like, how would you go about having somebody just be like, hey, it's okay, you didn't know, because life is life, and sometimes we don't have time to check in with ourselves at that point.
I mean, I think that, it's fairly accepted that people understand that after a woman has a baby, your hormones are everywhere.
Yes.
And those hormones are what is playing into that postpartum. And just maybe starting it at that it is so common.
Yep.
More moms than you could even realize have had some level of postpartum.
Yep.
And it has more to do with the hormones than anything else.
Yep.
And it's okay. And I think that's just the message. It is okay to have this.
Yep.
And we can move forward with it. We can figure out different ways to help, a person go through it and address it, whether it's with a doctor or a therapist.
And I think even trying to start with, you don't even have to call it postpartum depression because there's a lot of stigma with that.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying, having that conversation, if you know somebody who's recently had a child, approaching them and saying, hey, what's happening?
Yep.
Have you noticed like where your thinking is at?
Mm-hmm.
Are you more tired? Are you really struggling to get through the day?
Yep.
What are some things that are happening? Are you eating?
Yeah.
Because nutrition is a huge piece of it
Oh,
all.
it is.
So trying just as a friend, as someone who cares, as maybe it's a coworker, just checking in and saying, boy, you must be going through a lot. Just validating that, having a baby is a big deal.
Yeah.
And are there some things happening that's changed your life that you didn't think would happen?
100%. And I think that is the other piece is like, I remember how I felt, and I was 18, mind you. So like even add that on top of already having the hormones, already being young and having an early baby, but then like hearing those words, then you almost feel like, oh, now I'm being judged, or like they're now going to take my baby because now I feel this way. Or even, and we don't even have to talk postpartum, just like in general, those thoughts. Like a lot of people feel like once they're labeled, and I'm air quoting, but like labeled with this, that now that's going to carry with them, then they have to carry that burden when it's really not a burden.
Right.
So how do you go about like helping people adjust to that? Yes, this may be what you are at this moment, but it's not like a forever thing, or maybe it is a forever thing, but how do you come to coping with like the reality that nowadays people are like labeled, and labels carry merit in some people's lives, and which then creates a bigger issue? How do you go about helping somebody move past that or not seeing it as an issue?
I think it goes back to this is a common thing. I think it really goes back to that far more people struggle with some form of mental struggles than not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, be it anxiety, depression, bipolar. I mean, the list goes on. So many people have anxiety, or so many people have depression, and it's a very common thing to have to face. But they don't have to do it alone. That's the biggest thing.
And I think the way our world is currently, there is a lot of stress. There is a lot of expectations. You have very few two-parent households anymore. And even if you do have a two-parent household, you need both parents working. And so then you add all that onto whatever's going on.
Yep.
And the guilt of not being able to be home or be at your kids' activities, or make enough money, pay rent, etc. And so it's one of those layering things that, again, you just really need. Sheena talked earlier about a support system. A support system doesn't have to be 10, 20, 30 people. A support system really is, do you have one or two people that you can talk to? And if it's a great friend, awesome. But it may be, like Sheena said, a crisis line. It may be, somebody at a church. Even if you don't go to church, did you when you were younger?
Yep.
Is there a church you can go to and say, hey, I don't want to tell you who I am, but can I talk to somebody?
Yep.
Because there's churches out there who will open their doors to say, I don't even have to know your name. Just, I'm here to
Yeah.
be a
safe place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your guys' lane, is there support groups or resources that you provide to people? Because I know support groups are a huge piece, but I don't know if there's any here locally in the area.
I'm not aware of anything, but I guess I haven't looked too far into it. There could be some, but I'm not aware of them.
Yeah, I'm not either. I would say the best way to look for like a support group again would be go online if you can, go down to a library if you need to, and go online. Check with a church, check with a mental health center, see what they offer, close to you. And again, it depends on transportation. That's a big key for some people is I can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things you can find online still. That's good, bad, or otherwise. One of the blessings of COVID is there's a lot of online support groups, and they're out there for everything. It's just trying to Google the right name to find it and log in.
Okay. Well, now I know what I need to do. I need to start a support group.
Yes, let's do it.
Well, and I only see that is because some people, religion is a huge piece. Like, they don't want to bring religion into it. And I'm not saying that's me or anybody, but I know that there are certain, either their lifestyles don't accommodate to what a religion would be acceptable of. So, like, trying to be mindful of other people's lives, that, like, churches may not be the most safe place for them. So that's kind of where, like, groups are a huge piece. Like, it's a nice open door, kind of like AA groups. Like, they have those. You come in anonymously. You say, hey, here's my problem. But it's nice to have a support group for, like, single moms who are dealing with postpartum. Like, that would be a great group to have. Like, or somebody who may grievances where they just lost a family member or a husband, and like those support groups are great because they're specific to that need or desire that they're trying to cope with.
Right.
So that was the only reason I was wondering if they're. Oh, that's one thing we lack, I guess, in this area.
It is, and again, support groups can be. I mean, Facebook offers support groups. You can find often on Facebook. I mean, I think the other part of support groups is finding support groups that help you be okay with the feelings you're having and empowering you to move through them. And not just sit and get stuck screaming and complaining about whatever's going on. Or staying stuck in the trauma, because when you stay stuck in the trauma, there's absolutely no healing that happens, and you lose so much of yourself. And that's, again, another one of those common things that seems to be happening throughout the entire world, and people, even in the crisis world, people get caught up in, let me tell you about my trauma today, tomorrow, the next day, the next time we meet, the next, and it's really, you need a support group that's going to say, hey, Sheena, I know you have a lot of emotions and feelings, and I totally validate them, and I'm here with you. However, I'm worried that you're getting stuck in that, and how do we help you move through it? Because you have to take action in order to, you're not forgetting about what happened, and you're not denying what happened, but you still have to live your life and find a purpose to it.
Correct. And that was what I was going to come up to is like, well, how do you, because like being that support, and sometimes not all of us have that background to understand how to help or cope or help somebody move past that to say, yes, you've grieved enough, and not saying that there's enough time for grievance.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying like at some point you do have to move forward and you do have to live life and realistically come to terms with it and live that new norm. So I was just going to ask, how does one, say, lack thereof, the experience or education help somebody who is stuck in that rut? How does one be able to assist and say, okay, hey, I understand this is a trauma, but we've been here. We need to now move to the next step.
I mean, in that circumstances, I believe that it's still, you just need to go back to a professional, like a therapist or a counselor. Because a lot of times grief for traumas, they're very, very intricate, overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much going on that having a professional help that person get through it is the best bet. I do think that if there's somebody that you know that you're like, hey, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Validating where they're coming from and why they might feel stuck or why they are stuck.
Yeah.
I think validation is such a key point for helping people. So yeah, I think that it has to go back to a professional because that stuff is just it can be so heavy.
And it can be layered. It can be, a death today that somebody's experiencing or a trauma could have multiple layers that originated back when they were 3 years old.
It is. It's true. It's so true.
And so it's finding someone who can help you work through it, professional, or even again as a friend saying, what are you learning from this?
Yep.
I know that this is hard, this is devastating, but what strengths are you gaining from this? Which is usually where you find people that start charities or they do all these things in the name of their loved one.
Yep.
Years ago, I knew people who had lost somebody. It was diabetes and an unexpected fast death.
Okay.
And so for a number of years, the family went to Valley Fair. And celebrated the death.
Yep.
Because as weird as it sounds, I'm going to go celebrate who they are by doing something fun that they would have loved to do.
Yep.
So you find good memories, good things to pull from to find a bit of peace with it too.
Yep, and I get that because we actually release balloons for my sister. We actually write on them. We write her name and then we write our message and then we release them up.
Yeah.
Just so that not that we know that that's where they go, but it's that sense of, hey, we're communicating, we're letting you know, hey, we didn't forget about you, we still love you.
Yep.
Here you go.
And it brings you connected together.
Yeah, 100%. But I think those are great points. I think people forget that it's okay to still remember it. It's still okay to move past it, but you don't have to, there's no shame in moving forward.
Exactly.
And yes, in this moment it is hard. It is rough. Finances are really a big, huge issue. And people just never feel like they can get out. And I think that's the problem is that they lack. They don't know where to get the resources. They don't know who they should reach out to. And they don't want that stigma that they don't know how to take care of themselves or they need to be independent. And I think that's a huge piece is we always feel like we have to do it all on our own without help.
Which is, again, you look back to, how we're raised. There's not a how to deal with anxiety 101 course.
No.
Depression 101 course when you're, elementary school or junior high school or high school.
No.
We're really, truly not taught that. And if you've been raised with parents who were taught with, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, or we just, this is in the family, we don't talk about it, we don't deal about it.
Right.
You end up creating so much shame around it, and it makes it harder. So I think it's really, how do we help people walk through those moments and just be there as an ear and giving as much guidance as we can. And again, it's empowering them to say, I'll help you take the step if you need.
So I know we had talked about going to a therapist or finding a professional help. So obviously we had talked about finances being an issue. Are there resources for those who may not financially be able to, they don't have health insurance or maybe their health insurance doesn't cover as much? Where can they maybe seek professional assistance without having to pay the high dollar price?
So there are several therapists in Sioux Falls, anyways, that have a sliding scale fee.
Okay.
I know there's some therapists out there, or there's a company I think in T that has their own nonprofit to help cover the mental health therapy costs.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're reaching out to 211 or 988. They'll have resources to help people find reasonable care. I think Southeastern is another one that's dedicated or towards people who don't have the finances to get help with their mental health.
So what would be your biggest thing to somebody in crisis? Like if somebody, not, I'm hoping nobody is at this very moment who may be listening right now. What is the one thing you would say to kind of reset their brain for them to take a moment and realize life is worth staying?
I think one of the pieces is a little bit of what we touched on already is take a deep breath, slow down before you make any decisions. You don't have to make any decisions right now. Not making a decision is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And slow down and know that that old cliche, this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get you through a period of time. Let's make sure to get some food in you, something to drink, some water, preferably stay away from alcohol. But get some water or something in you, and some nutrition so that you can at least start to think clear and just take a deep breath. I'm a big proponent of the other thing that helps a lot is we're in the perfect time of the year. Take off your socks and shoes and go outside and stand in the grass and get grounded.
Oh, love that. That's Kendall and I do that quite often, especially if we're at a spiritual retreat.
Yeah.
But it is crazy what just nature does itself. Just even if like that was my biggest thing when I had worked at Heartland Family Service and we were taught mindfulness.
Yep.
And meditation was one of the classes that we could take for like a break or whatever is go learn how to meditate. Well, I cannot do that long term. Like I applaud those who can do it for like hours, like or even an hour. I could do 20 minutes, but it was great to like listen to somebody actually like bring me down because like sometimes you are high anxiety all the time and you don't realize it until you take a moment, take that breath and you realize, oh crap, I'm sitting in a cold chair and I never realized I was sitting in a cold chair until somebody told me, how does this chair feel? I don't know. Well, why would I need to know? But then you realize, oh crap, I am feeling all of these feelings that I didn't even know because I've just been go. And now I know I have been carrying this world on my shoulders.
And that's huge. Part of what you're describing is how, again, we as human beings and we as women dissociate. We take care of our kids, we take care of the house, we take care of, our boyfriend, husband, spouse, we take care of the car, we take care of, and men go through the same stuff. They're trying to take care of the bills and work. And so we all have a tendency in some level to dissociate and just not be connected to our body and even know that, oh wow, the chair I'm sitting on is cold or is super uncomfortable. And why do I keep sitting on the same chair all the time?
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy. Like just taking that moment in, like I actually had learned, once I had learned that, I have my third kiddo way back then, he would just get upset over the smallest, teeniest things. And I was like, dude, and him and I would just get upset with each other. And I had taken this mindfulness course and like we were doing a meditation thing and I was going, I'm not going to learn anything. And like I left that class going, oh my Lord, I did not realize what I was feeling. I could only imagine what he's feeling. And he's only like 4 at this time. Like I can only imagine. So like we would do the countdown. All right, we're going to count down to 1 from 10. And then I want you to tell me your favorite dinosaur and like, or what's your top 3 favorite trains, just to reset his brain to then come back to me to be able to say, okay, what were you really upset about? And then that's when he could be like, I didn't get ice cream. And I'm like, oh, well, why are we screaming at me for no reason? Like, that's easy. Like, just eat your food and we'll have ice cream. So it was crazy just taking that moment and just counting back downwards and having him focus on something he really enjoyed to be able to talk. And like, there's so many times I do that even now to myself where all of a sudden I'm like going off on something and I'm like, wait a second, that is not what I'm upset about. And then I kind of just take a self-check going, okay, have I ate? Did I drink water? Like how much water have I drank today? Okay, did I do anything for myself? Like take 5 minutes and go take a breather. And those are those things that I think we forget to do so often. And I had went almost 30 years going my whole life. Like that was 30 years of just sitting, not taking care of myself and 4 kids and a boyfriend who had he had just found out he had severe extensive Crohn's. So like we were dealing with health issues on top of it.
Yep.
So it's like you never realize until you just take that moment, and then that's when you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So I mean, wholeheartedly, mindfulness is a huge thing.
And a piece of mindfulness that's really easy that we all forget about, which is really odd. You might be at a job or in a situation, even dealing with your kids, and you're at your wit's end. You don't know what to do.
Yep.
The best thing you can do is say, I'm going to be right back with you. I have to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Because rarely do you ever get told by anybody you can't go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, turn on the water, sit in there, take some deep breaths, put your hands under the water, and just go, okay, let me reset for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it takes.
Yep. Yeah, and it's crazy, like taking that moment away, because you take that moment, you both get a chance to breathe. The other person doesn't realize you're giving that to them until after you walk away from the situation.
Exactly.
And that's when you're like, oh, hey, now I know why.
And again, the bathroom is the easy thing. And the part that's so healing about that, as weird as it sounds, is if you're in chairs and we're angry right now together having an argument, you usually can't fix that in the same chairs you started in.
Nope.
So walking away gives that distraction as well as shifts the energy. I can look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah, and I've learned even like saying, hey, I'm not, and I've said it before, and Kendall can testify this. I will say, hey, I'm not in a good headspace for this conversation.
Yep.
Like, let me take a moment to get into this space, and then we can have this conversation. Like, it is okay to pin that conversation for a better time when you're both in a better headspace. Like, it is A-okay to just walk away from a conversation. Doesn't mean it's over. It just means it's paused until you both are clear-headed to come back with good thoughts.
And it's huge to come back to those thoughts, because if you don't, you've just added another layer to an uncomfortable, depressing, horrible situation.
That's true.
I always joke, I have a 7-year-old too. Well, I have a 21, 7, and then 3.
Oh gosh.
Big old age spread. But with my 7-year-old, I kind of joke, like, she'll put herself in timeout. Yeah. And really what it was is that I had a conversation with her. I'm like, when you get upset, she used to get really just explosively mad.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you get that upset, do you feel like you just want to be alone for a little bit? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, it's okay. You can go to your room.
Yeah.
You're not in trouble.
Yeah.
Come out when you're ready. We'll talk. All is well. And so she'll do it, and she'll slam a door behind her. But I'm still like, hey, you know what? If she has to slam the door just to let go of some of that tension,
that's
you
okay.
do it, girl. Slam that door.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, and then she comes out, and it's like a new person. Like, she's back to who she was 15, 20 minutes ago, and now we can talk about why she was upset. Kind of like what you were doing with your son, which I thought was really, really great.
Yeah, but if I had never taken that, I mean, who knows how it would be now with him and I, like, and that's the thing. I'm like, I wish I would have known that a long time ago. Like, that was my third kid. I'm like, imagine, like, could have solved a whole lot of problems with my oldest.
Right?
No, she's great. But I mean, then I learned she was self-harming, and then that was a whole different, like, ballpark, because then, like, and maybe we should touch on this, because self-harming it's huge for the person doing it, but it's also very hard for the person on the other end. Being like a mom and seeing it, and like your world kind of crumbles, because you're kind of like, this is all my fault. I did this. I didn't even know about it. And like all of a sudden you're just kind of like, what the fuck? Pardon my French.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, you're like, and all you do is go, I stopped so much. And like, why are you feeling this way? Like, there's no reason. And like, then as like a parent, you get into a rut where you're like, there's no reason for them to feel this way. They're just being entitled and this and that. And then you go back on the train of like, oh great, I'm a horrible parent and da 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 da. Like, I mean, you flip so much, because you're just kind of like, where did I go wrong? So like, self-harm is a huge thing. Cause like, I didn't even know, like, she stopped wearing jeans, she started wearing sweatpants, and I just thought it was like a thing. Yeah. Because all the kids were doing it. And then like, you kind of, it's hard from like nowadays, like one, like I don't force my kids to like, I let them be who they are. Sorry. But, so it's like one of those things where it's like, is it truly a trend or is it them and they're going through something? So how either a person who is self-harming or a person on the other one end, what are some points maybe for them to be looking for? Because self-harming kind of leads to the next step, unfortunately. So what are some key points or what are something that you would provide to somebody who might think somebody is self-harming? Like, one, what should they be looking for? Two, how can they help?
As a parent, my oldest was doing that as well.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on in common here.
Yeah. I think just, like you mentioned that your daughter started wearing, more comfortable clothes.
Yep.
She changed from wearing shorts.
Yep, and she wouldn't go swimming. Like all of a sudden stopped going swimming. And I'm like, you love swimming. And then it was a whole body image thing. She was like, they're gross. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, well, you're of age that it's hard to tell.
That way.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I've been a girl before. I know 100%. I don't like being in a swimsuit even as an adult.
Yep.
Like I can only imagine as a teenager. So yeah, like those are those things that I'm like, I would have never in a million years known she was self-harming if the school hadn't called me and somebody had seen her.
Right.
Show the marks to somebody.
Right.
And I think, paying attention to those signs, behavior changes. I also think that if you are concerned about your child self-harming, to just talk to them and come from more of that empathetic, validating, not I'm your mom and you're going to get in trouble for this kind of, be very empathetic to the fact that we sometimes forget as adults that being a teenager is really, really hard.
Especially nowadays.
Oh, yeah, it's hard. So, approaching it as I remember being a teenager, sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
So just having that empathy and being willing to hear some of the hard things that they're going to tell you, not judge them on it, be that validation. I think validation is so key in just about every realm of, helping someone. And you know what, and if it's something, if they're self-harming, again, I can't emphasize enough, but getting professional help, having that professional come in to help them, cope and deal with whatever they're going through at that time.
And it's hard to find. It's hard to find a professional who can truly effectively deal with self-harm.
It's true.
It's when I worked in a psych hospital, we had a gal who her self-harm was stabbing herself in the stomach.
Oh gosh.
And it would be with pencils, different things like that, things that you wouldn't normally think of.
No, my daughter's was a wooden pencil. She'd break, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, sounds so painful.
Yeah. And she worked with a therapist, the gal worked with a therapist. Come to find out, it wasn't even related to anything happening today. It was memories of being abused as a kid, and her stomach would hurt, and she would stab her stomach to make the memory stop, so she wasn't triggered. But it took somebody who could really go there and ask those questions, like, what's going on? What are you stabbing? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does, and I think as parents, like what you guys are talking about, really it's starting that discussion of, hey, I'm not here to judge, but what's going on? What do you even know what you're feeling? Yeah. And saying it in a compassionate way, not do you even know what you're feeling, but has something happened? Ask them why it helps. Yeah. Come say, I'd like to know from your perspective why this is so helpful to you.
And it is true, because I had asked her, I was like, why? And she's like, I need to escape the stress. She's like, the anxiety that I feel, every time I do it, I feel like it just gets released. And I was like floored by that, because I would have never known if I hadn't asked, like, why. Right. But tone is a huge piece, because I could tell when I was frustrated with her, the conversation didn't go as well. Exactly. And when I came in more as not that I wasn't caring before, but it was when I changed the tone of the conversation that she started opening up more about the whole thing. And I mean, tone is a huge piece, like body language, space, and tone.
Yep.
Like you do need to create that safe space.
Yeah.
And like, her therapist at that time was like, she needs a safe space, and I'm like, the house, like.
How is my house not
Yeah,
safe?
Right.
yeah, and again, coming from a mom, I'm like, all I do is create this safe space, like,
Right.
but then it's you have to go back and put yourself in their perspective,
Exactly.
and so like we made her closet a safe space, so we like turned that into like putting pillows and a lamp, and like she could shut the door, and then that was just her space, like nobody could invade that space unless she invited them.
Right.
And so that was kind of like, it's eye opening, but it's also hard from a parent standpoint to be like, what the, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's hard to tell if it's just hogwash because like coming from my generation where that's not a thing,
Right.
and like feelings and emotions were not allowed, and I'm like, suck it up, buttercup, and like trying not to do that, being like, well, I grew up and I had to do this, and like I had to retrain my own self to not say the same things.
Right. And the other piece of it that we've touched on multiple times here is, as parents, we get caught up being busy, go, go. You have other kids that you're trying to attend to. So realizing that, right, wrong, or otherwise, it's easy to not know where your kid's at. It's really easy.
And it's okay.
It is. 100%.
It really is okay.
Yep.
Because kids don't talk.
Exactly.
Like, they're not. We love our kids,
Yep.
like, no matter what, and we love the people who are around us. But again, we're only one person to many.
Yep.
And so, like, I think that was a hard thing for me. I was like, oh, I didn't give enough to her. And so, like, I actually started doing date nights with each individual child to dedicate time to one child. Because then after that, I started to see that helped with them. But you don't know if you've got a baby. Like, that's really hard to like dedicate that, especially if you're a single parent, like doing all these, like the expectation is so high to be able to try to meet and understand, and like coming from an adolescent, they don't understand those pieces and components and how much you have been trying. So I think those are like the other pieces is like, give yourself grace. Like
100%.
I think we don't give ourselves enough grace.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm a critic of my own. Like, and I always tell everybody, I'm like, I'm my own worst critic.
We are.
Because like, I am the one stopping myself, or I'm the one who's saying, oh, I didn't do enough. And I think that's the harder part nowadays of just saying, it's okay. You are doing enough.
Yeah. It's a very fine piece. Again, as a single parent, even with two parents and both people working, there's a lot that we are all juggling. And that's where, go back to what we talked about earlier is, do you have some type of support system? Do you, as a single parent or in a two-parent house, do you have friends that can help with some of that?
Yeah.
Do you have somebody that can say, hey, can you take the baby so I can spend time with this child?
Yeah.
I don't need a lot. Give me even 30 minutes.
Yep. 100%. And I think the other stigma is like, it is okay to ask for help.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I think that was, like, I know even when, like, I was raising my 4 kids, like, I was afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to ask for people to watch my kids so I could have a moment to myself. Or, like, I was only expected to have my partner be the only person to help me. And I think that, like, that's the other bigger fear is, like, people feel like they're being judged if they ask for help. And, like, I think we need to get outside of that stigma and be like, it's okay to help. It's okay to, and I usually just offer help at this point where I'm like, hey, let me help you. And then people are like, what? So I'm like, it's okay. Like, I promise there's no ill intent, like no judgment or anything. Like, let me help you. Like Kendall, she one time was mad at me because I walked into her messy house. I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, what am I going to, well, really? And she's like, I don't want you. You're going to judge me. I'm like, no, this is no judgment here. Like, we all have a life. We all handle things differently. And it's okay. Like, it's okay to live our life how we are living it within means.
And I think, we forget that it takes a village.
It does.
It really does. And a lot of cultures outside of ours in America, they rely on extended family, friends. I mean, godparents who are, DNA related, but they are just as important as an aunt or an uncle.
Correct.
So I don't know how we got into this where we can't share the burden of raising children, because sometimes it is a burden.
Yeah.
To this, we can't talk to people about it. We can't ask for the help. And in reality, children aren't meant just to be raised by mom and dad.
No.
There's significant benefit from just having grandparents.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that we have to get back to that piece of it where we can ask our family and our friends.
100%, because there's something that I don't know that my kids could benefit from.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the thing. Like, our kids only learn what they see, and like, if they see somebody else doing it, like, if I know how to make an apple pie and you don't, like, why can't they benefit from learning how to make an apple pie?
Right.
Oh, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of that thing. That's why groups are great. Like, even if you're, like, create your own group where you throw out something on Facebook or wherever and be like, hey, I want to, like, I just went to a women's dinner Thursday. And somebody on Facebook was like, hey, we're going to do a Girls Who Dine Together group. And I'm like, oh, this sounds great.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
When is this?
Yeah. But I joined this group because I want to be able to, one, network, and I want to find females who are out there to support other females. Like, that was my thing. And I'm like, not that I need more friends, because I really don't need more friends. I barely can handle the ones I have. But it was more, I want to be able to either, one, I was the oldest out of the 3 people who showed up, but I can instill some kind of wisdom, or I can learn something new. Like, there might be a new trend out there that I really need to know about in social media, being a social media manager. So those are those things that, like, we learn from other people who are not in our immediate circle. And so that's kind of where even extending yourself out there is a great thing. Like, it's okay to put yourself out of your box. Like, you learn so much more outside of your little teeny tiny box.
I agree.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is we're our own critic, our worst critic, because we stop ourselves going, no, this is new and this is scary. I don't want to know. Somebody's not going to like me. Who cares if nobody likes you? Like, you won't know until you try.
And I think part of it too, as a single parent, as any parent, you have to be able to put your ego aside.
Yes.
I remember when my daughter was young and she came home one day and she was mad at me, and her thing was, I hate you. I want Mrs. Peterson to be my mom. And it was one of the teachers from school, and I cried. I sat and cried that night.
Yeah.
Going, what am I doing that's so horrible as a parent?
Yes.
Because I thought I was doing everything right. And I was doing everything I knew how to do. Yeah. Mrs. Peterson is just a school teacher who gave her a different type of compassion and love than I could.
Yep.
And to go, you know what? That's that village.
Yep.
She needed that school teacher because there was something I couldn't give her at that time.
Well, and it's okay to not be everything. Exactly. Like, I've learned, like, I am a mom, yes, but that does not mean I'm a touchy, lovey-dovey, like, always curled up with, like, when they were babies, I loved the baby naps. Heck yeah. But, like, when they got older, I'm not an affectionate person. Like, hugs are about it, and I'll kiss you on your head, and that's about it, and tell you good night. Like, I'm not that mom. Like, that's my limit. That's just me knowing, but their grandma is great. Like, Nana G does that, and I'm okay with that. Like, they can crawl up on Nana G's lap, and she can provide them that, and that's okay, because I give them the other things.
Exactly.
I give them the independence, and I tell them, hey, no, you can go make that hot dog yourself because you were 10.
But it's knowing that and not taking on that shame or guilt.
Yeah.
Or, if you're caught up in the postpartum depression, realizing that you need a village. You need other people there.
Yeah, well, in the postpartum, like, that's also a big thing, because I remember I put so much shame on myself for not breastfeeding.
Oh,
like,
isn't that rough?
It is, but when the baby's 10 weeks early, you can't get your milk to drop because, one, you're 17, and two, the baby's been way too early and you didn't get induced. Like, there are so many different factors. into why
Yep.
you can't breastfeed.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that seems like the new thing to like shame moms about, like, oh, you
Yeah.
don't breastfeed, you know, you're such a terrible mom. It's like, well,
No.
sometimes it just don't work.
No.
I'm
No.
one of them that just don't work.
Yeah. And it doesn't, like,
If that baby's a happy baby.
100%. Yeah, and I even, like, with my third kid, it was my third kid, I was, like, trying flaxseed, and I was hammered, like, I was eating peanuts and trying to get as much proteins in, and there are some moms who just can't produce,
Yeah.
like, I would go pump at the same time another mom would, and she would triple the amount of milk, and I'd feel like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, how come I can't do that, and, like, I would shame my own self on my own. She wasn't doing it to me. I did it to myself. And so it was kind of one of those things where, like, sometimes you just can't. Your body, your lifestyle, your own genetics don't allow for it. And it's okay.
And that's where the village comes in.
Yes.
Or your support people. Same thing. All 3 of my pregnancies couldn't get it done.
Oh, God.
And so my last one, I was really dedicated. Like, I was so dedicated, pumping every 2 hours.
I'm gonna get this.
This is gonna work this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point where I just was so, like, I beat myself up so bad about it. I was talking to my older sister. And she's like, Sheena, maybe for your own mental health, you should just stop.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, there's a thing that's called formula. Or there's now breast milk bakes.
Great.
Yeah, like, you can get it. Like, because preemie babies, they actually do, the breast milk is the best thing for them. 100%. And there's nothing wrong with that. If another mom can provide quadruple the amount that you can, let them.
Exactly.
If they are okay donating it, let your baby use it. Like, there is no shame in allowing that to happen. Because, yes, it takes a village, no matter what. Raising kids, living life. Like, you can't do it alone. As much as we all think being by ourselves is the best thing, it is not.
I mean, we are born, if you think about it, to be connected to humans.
Yeah.
Babies, when they're born, they do so much better when they're held and cuddled and nurtured and have another human there. And that's how we are born, is to truly be connected to human beings, in person, face to face, figuring out life.
100%. Well, even animals.
Yep.
Like, how many times does an animal curl up with a baby or know that the mom is pregnant and they curl up?
Yep.
Like, it's just how the world works.
It is.
Whether it's humans or species, like, it's just how we are.
Yep.
So we should probably wrap up since we're at 8:01. So what would be your one thing that you would like listeners to take away from? Either this, mental health, substance use, postpartum, whatever it may be.
I think the biggest thing is to reach out for help. Whether that's your support system, your doctor, 988, a therapist, whoever it might be, a teacher, a principal, reach out for help, because there is help out there. There are people who are more than happy to support you. Reach out.
And just a reference, you did say 211, right?
211 for some resources, or 988 has.
Okay, and do they call 988 or text 988?
You can call, chat, text 988.
Okay.
211, I believe, is just a
phone number?
phone.
Okay.
And I would say my takeaway is give yourself some grace. Take a deep breath. Know that you don't have to make any decisions right now, and just take a deep breath and get some nutrition in you, and just take a step back. And again, if you can go outside and do some grounding and be connected with nature a little bit somehow, and really just give yourself grace and know that what you're feeling is okay, and there's ways to move through it. You don't have to stay stuck.
100%. I would agree. And being a person who has been stuck and a person who has learned, one, nutrition and water are always the best thing.
Yeah.
I even tell my kids when they're like when their emotions are heightened, I always say, go take a drink of cold water. Because even the thought of just taking water and it being cold, the thought of it being cold helps it's recycling your brain. Like, in that moment, like, it's crazy what it takes it doesn't take much to reset that brain. And I only know that because of the chameleon little piece of your brain, your fight and flight.
Yeah.
We could do a whole segment on that.
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciate you two taking the night and coming on here and giving us a whole bunch of information and just chit-chatting with me. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Well, thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thanks.
Yep.
And thank you to the Den for allowing us to be here. And we cleared out the house, unfortunately. Sorry. I think it was a great conversation. I don't know
It
about
was.
anybody else. And stay unscripted. Yay! See what,
That's fine.
so Brianna made a whole bunch of
Oh, of course you did.